Everyone who knew me before 9/11 believes I am connected to the 9/11 attacks. You have heard many stories and tragedies related to this incident. But today's case is not like the others, because till date, neither the remains of this missing woman have been found, nor is there any proof of her present existence. September 11th, 2001, at 8:45 in the morning. In New York, it was a regular Tuesday morning. The sky was completely clear, and the weather was perfectly sunny. Without expecting anything unusual, everyone was going to work as usual. But the very next minute, at 8:46 a.m., an airplane suddenly crashed into the North Tower of the World Trade Center in Lower Manhattan. The plane struck between the 93rd and 99th floors. The explosion was so loud that people from nearby shops, offices, and homes rushed out onto the streets to see what had happened. Soon, the North Tower caught fire, and heavy smoke started coming out. Every TV channel was flashing this news, and until this point, everyone believed it was just an accident. But 17 minutes later, at 9:03 a.m., another plane crashed into the South Tower between the 77th and 85th floors. At that moment, people realized this was not an accident but a terrorist attack, planned and deadly. Chaos and panic spread across the streets because the USA was under attack. People were running everywhere in fear that the next attack might happen at their location. At the same time, New York City firefighters, using emergency vehicles and even their personal vehicles, rushed toward the Twin Towers to rescue those trapped inside. Meanwhile, people stuck inside the North and South Towers were suffocating due to thick smoke and fire. In fact, many people jumped from as high as the 70th floor to escape the extreme heat, smoke, and flames. In that moment, they probably felt that a quick death was better than a slow and painful one. While all this chaos and panic was unfolding, there was one more man, like thousands of others, watching the news on TV from his workplace. This man was Ron. For him, it was also a regular Tuesday morning at work. But when he saw the Twin Towers being attacked, his first thought went to his wife, Sneha, who had been missing since the previous evening. Their home was also very close to the Twin Towers, which gave him serious reasons to worry. Ron immediately tried calling his wife multiple times on his cell phone, but there was no response. After 56 minutes, at 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapsed. About half an hour later, at 10:28 a.m., the North Tower also collapsed. Due to these collapses, people could no longer contact anyone through their cell phones, and the same happened to Ron. By now, fear had completely taken over his mind. Was his wife Sneha inside one of the towers? If she had returned home that morning, why was she not answering her phone? Was she trapped on the streets, surrounded by debris and smoke? He had many questions, but not a single answer. From that day till today, there is literally no proof that can place Sneha anywhere in New York. What was happening in her life that neither her husband nor the entire world has been able to find her for 24 years? On top of that, allegations were made against Sneha, claims that she was cheating on her husband and that she was bisexual. Because of these allegations, many people began to suspect that Ron might have been involved in her disappearance. Was Ron responsible for Sneha's disappearance? Or was he not as interested in finding his cheating wife as a normal partner would be? Some people even said that Sneha helped many people during the 9/11 attacks and saved lives. So, was she a hero? Or did she use this situation as an opportunity to escape her husband and disappear forever, so she would not have to answer anyone? In today's case, we will explore all these questions in depth. This is the case of Sneha Philip. So what happened to the 31-year-old Dr. Sneha Philip, who never returned to her apartment? This is our quest to find Sneha Philip, the woman who disappeared before history changed forever. Sneha Anne Philip was born on October 7, 1969. Her parents were Ashu John Philip and Philip Philip. She had two brothers, Ashwin and John Philip. Since she was the only girl among the three siblings, she was deeply loved by her family. Although Sneha was born in Kerala, her parents later moved to New York when she was still a child. Her brother Ashwin said that Sneha was very creative from a young age. She loved painting, listening to music, and writing. As she grew older, she became very ambitious. Sneha completed her graduation from Johns Hopkins University. In 1995, she joined the Chicago School of Medicine to become a doctor like her father. It was here that she met Ron Lieberman for the first time. Ron was from Los Angeles and was Jewish. Both were medical students, but they were also highly creative and talented. Sneha was a writer and painter, while Ron loved playing the guitar. Their shared creativity brought them closer, and they started dating. Ron was 1 year behind Sneha in college. She wanted both of them to graduate together and join internships at the same time, so she even took a year off and put her degree on hold. Finally, in 1999, Sneha and Ron graduated together. After that, they both started residency internships at different medical centers in New York City. During this time, they lived together. In the year 2000, Sneha and Ron got married in a Jewish Indian traditional ceremony. After marriage, the couple moved to Battery Park City, which was only 0.3 miles, or about a 7-minute walk, from the World Trade Center. They were happy and living together. Now let us come to the day Sneha was last seen. This day was September 10th, one day before the 9/11 attacks. It was a Monday, but Sneha was not working that day. She planned to clean the house because her cousin Anu was coming for dinner 2 days later. Around 11 a.m., Ron left for work. Sneha rearranged flowers and cleaned the house. After that, she chatted with her mother via instant messaging for almost 2 hours, from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. During this time, she talked about many things, including her night outings, parties, and weekly plans. She also told her mother that her friend was planning to book Windows on the World for her wedding. That is why Sneha planned to visit the place to check it out. Windows on the World was located in the North Tower of the World Trade Center. After ending the conversation with her mother at around 4 p.m., Sneha decided to run some errands. Between 5 and 5:15 p.m., she left her house. She first dropped some clothes at the dry cleaner. Then she went to a department store called Century 21. After 6 p.m., she made several purchases using Ron's American Express card, including lingerie, pantyhose, and bed linens. She also bought 3 pairs of footwear from another shop. All these purchases are supported by CCTV footage and Ron's credit card records. But this was the last confirmed sighting of Sneha. After that, no one knows where she went. Did she return home that night? Did she run away? Was she kidnapped? Or did she intentionally disappear? Nobody knows. And that is why this case is so mysterious and fascinating. That evening, when Ron returned home on September 10th, Sneha was not there. However, this was not unusual because Sneha often stayed overnight with friends or relatives without informing Ron in advance. At that time, mobile phones were not very common, so it was not easy to call or text anytime. Ron was mostly okay with this behavior. But the next morning, September 11th, when Ron woke up and saw that Sneha still had not returned, he felt irritated. He had already asked her many times not to make such plans without informing him. He decided that he would talk to her about her carelessness. His irritation was understandable because they were husband and wife. Ron went to work, but around 9 a.m. when he saw the news of the attacks on TV, he panicked. He did not know whether Sneha had come home or not. Their apartment was very close to the World Trade Center. In panic, Ron called his home landline, hoping Sneha would answer and say she was safe. But every call went to the answering machine. He left multiple voice messages asking her to call back. When there was no response, he called Sneha's mother and brother, but they also had no information. By 3 p.m., Ron waited at the hospital, hoping to hear something. Finally, he requested help from a fire truck to take him closer to the Twin Towers. Due to the scale of the attack, transportation was nearly impossible. The roads were jammed with ambulances, emergency staff, survivors, and worried relatives. It took Ron nearly 6 hours to reach his apartment area. When he finally arrived at 9 p.m., there was a power outage, and he could not enter the building because the doors were electric. He stayed at a friend's house that night. The next morning, when he returned to the apartment, Sneha was still not there. The windows were open, and due to the collapse of the towers, the entire apartment was covered in ash. Only Ron's shoe prints and their 2 cats' paw prints were visible. This confirmed that Sneha never returned home after the attacks. And this is where the search for Sneha began. Reporting a missing person during such chaos was extremely difficult. On the same day, thousands of people were reported missing, and the entire world was focused on 9/11. Because Sneha went missing before the attacks, her case received very little attention. Initially, no TV channel was willing to report her case because it was not directly linked to 9/11. After filing the missing report, Ron and Sneha's family distributed missing posters across the city. The last known plan Sneha mentioned was visiting windows on the world. Her family believed she might have been near the Twin Towers and may have gone to help victims as a doctor, but there was no proof that she was present there. Until today, the mystery of Sneha Philip remains unsolved. Again, out of desperation, Ron asked Sneha's brother John to speak to the press and convince them that Sneha's case also deserved the same spotlight as the 9/11 victims. But when John spoke to the media, he exaggerated Sneha's story heavily and presented it in a very fake and emotional way. Along with this fake emotional story, he added one more false detail, something he later deeply regretted. Even though Sneha and John had been having arguments and had not spoken for 2 weeks, John still told the press that Sneha had called him during the September 11th attacks and that she was near the World Trade Center. This was a huge lie told to the media. John further added that during the call, he begged Sneha to save her life and move away from the Twin Towers. But according to his story, Sneha refused because she wanted to help injured people. This is exactly where the entire Sneha the Hero story originated. People rushed toward the buildings to help others, risking their own lives. Clearly, after this detail came out, Sneha's case became extremely popular in the media. Her photo appeared on every news channel. Everyone believed she lost her life while helping others. "What a hero," people said. The police began searching for Sneha's remains at Ground Zero, but despite all efforts, they could never place Sneha at the attack site. Her friends and family kept visiting hospitals, hoping to find some information about her, but they found no witnesses and no leads. So, although everyone knew about Sneha's case, in a way, her brother unintentionally sabotaged the investigation. The police limited the investigation only to Ground Zero and did not search for Sneha anywhere else. Since there was no progress in finding Sneha, Ron decided to take matters into his own hands. Ron knew that if Sneha was caught in the 9/11 attacks, she was probably gone. But if she had been missing since the night of September 10th, there was still a chance she was alive. Ron started by reading Sneha's instant messages. Then he began tracking her movements. From Sneha's chats with her mother, he learned that she went shopping on the evening of September 10th. Ron knew Sneha had his credit card, so he contacted American Express. He found out that Sneha had shopped at Century 21 around 7 p.m. When Ron went to the store, it was temporarily closed. With the help of his friends, Ron placed missing posters around other branches of Century 21. A few days later, a female store employee called Ron. She said that Sneha regularly visited Century 21 and that on September 10th, Sneha was not alone. According to the saleswoman, Sneha was shopping with another woman that evening. She also said that the woman looked like she was of Indian descent, just like Sneha. This confused Ron because he had no idea who this woman could be. Ron immediately thought that if Sneha had been there with someone else, CCTV footage must exist. After a lot of effort, Ron finally obtained the CCTV footage. In the footage, Sneha was clearly seen shopping at Century 21. But the strange thing was that she was completely alone. There was no other woman with her. So no one knows what the saleswoman saw that evening that made her so sure Sneha was not alone. Now, let's take a short break here. There is something important I want to talk about. This case is very popular, and many theories have been made about it. Many American users discuss this case extensively. But there is a very strange side to this case, related to ghosts and spirits. Some people believe that the female sales worker actually did see another woman with Sneha that day, but they believe it was not a real woman. They believe it was a spirit that came to take Sneha with her. I personally do not believe this theory. I think the saleswoman simply misremembered the incident. But still, it is 3 a.m. right now, and thinking about this gives me chills. If something like that really happened. Anyway, let's get back to the case. Another important detail is that none of the items Sneha purchased that day were ever found. She never brought them home. Her shopping bags were never recovered. She did not take them to a friend's house either, because if she had, someone would have informed the police by now. Since the NYPD already had hundreds of missing persons cases and was focused only on ground zero, Ron hired a private investigator named Ken Gallant. Ken's investigation revealed several new details. For example, on the night Sneha allegedly did not return home and Ron slept alone, at around 4 a.m. the next morning, a call was made from their landline to Ron's cell phone. If Ron was sleeping alone, who made that call from the apartment? And if Sneha did return that night, why would she do something so strange instead of waking Ron? Ron said he does not remember waking up that night. A possible explanation is that he may have been half asleep, checking voicemail, and accidentally called his own cell phone. Another discovery by Ken Gallant was CCTV footage from Ron and Sneha's apartment building. The footage shows a woman entering the building and standing near the elevator for some time. Then she leaves without entering the elevator, as if she changed her mind. This footage was from September 11th at 8:43 a.m., just 3 minutes before the attacks. The woman's build, clothing, and mannerisms resembled Sneha, but due to sunlight in the lobby, the video contrast was poor, and her face was not clearly visible. However, the woman was not carrying any shopping bags. This again raises the same question. If this was Sneha returning home late, where were the expensive items she bought the previous day? Later, Ron was never able to confirm with certainty whether that woman was Sneha or not. But according to the NYPD, it was indeed the missing person Sneha Anne Philip. Now, these are all the concrete proofs and evidence we have. But when we look into Ron and Sneha's personal life, their marriage was not as simple and uncomplicated as it may seem. Like many relationships, they were going through a troubled phase when Sneha disappeared. The police used these complications to argue that Sneha's disappearance was unrelated to 9/11. They believed she may have left willingly to start a new life. You may remember that Sneha was not working on September 10th, but the real reason was that she had been fired from her workplace. The reason given was increasing unprofessional behavior and alcoholism. When Cabrini Medical Center refused to renew her contract, Sneha later went to a local bar with colleagues. That night ended badly, and Sneha was arrested. A few days earlier, Sneha had filed a criminal complaint against a colleague, accusing him of groping her during a night out. Due to lack of evidence, the complaint was dropped. Instead, Sneha was charged with making false allegations and spent a night in jail. If you think about it, her life before disappearing was extremely messy and stressful. She lost her job. Her abuse complaint was dismissed. On the morning of September 10th, Sneha and Ron even went to court to plead not guilty. According to police reports, a serious argument broke out between Ron and Sneha outside the courthouse. During the investigation, police further attacked Sneha's character. They claimed she was a lesbian or bisexual because she visited lesbian bars. They also claimed she cheated on Ron with random women. Police even alleged that Sneha was involved with her brother John's girlfriend. John later denied ever saying this. Based on all these theories, police tried to portray Sneha as mentally unstable and desperate to escape her life. But Sneha's family rejected almost all police claims. They believed her character was being assassinated simply because she was a woman. According to them, Sneha was fired due to racial and sexual bias, not alcoholism. This makes sense considering the racism people of color faced in the early 2000s. They said Sneha spoke out against abuse and misconduct, which caused problems at work. Regarding lesbian bars, Ron explained that after the groping incident, Sneha felt safer in women-only spaces. This is common, as many women choose such spaces for safety. Ron said claims about Sneha being lesbian were baseless. Sneha always informed Ron about where she stayed and who she met. That is why Ron assumed she was out socializing on September 10th. As for the allegation involving John's girlfriend, John publicly denied it. Sneha's family stated that although she drank alcohol and was stressed, it did not mean she did not love her family. Many times, Sneha's name was added and removed from the list of 9/11 victims. But on January 31st, 2008, the New York State Appeals Court ruled that Sneha's name would permanently remain on the list. She was officially declared the the 2,751st victim of the September 11th attacks. Sneha is the only 9/11 victim whose presence at Ground Zero has never been proven. The judge stated that the simplest explanation is usually the truth. Sneha running away without any trace while posters were everywhere was highly unlikely. Being murdered without leaving any evidence was also unlikely. So what do you think is the most likely explanation for Sneha's disappearance? Let me know in the comments below. It has been 24 years since Sneha disappeared. Her family has accepted that Sneha is resting in peace. Her name is engraved at the National September 11th Memorial. A memorial also exists at Dutchess Community College, where her mother worked. Ron remarried in 2010, but he remains close to Sneha's family and continues to respect them. In many ways, this case has an ending, and in many ways, it does not. People still speculate about Sneha's disappearance. There is one very strange detail at the end of this case. This is the reason I chose to cover it. I believe Sneha may still be alive. In 2012, a postcard appeared on Post Secret that became very popular. Post Secret is an anonymous mail art project where people send confessions. One postcard showed burning Twin Towers and had a single line written, "Everyone who knew me before 9/11 believes I am dead." It ended with a message wishing everyone happiness and health, asking people to stay close to their loved ones, and saying, "I will see you very, very soon. Bye-bye."